Let's travel back to 2011. The original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, mind you, one of the most legendary maps of all time terminal. Outside of the map, there's what seems to be a Call of Duty 4 game case. Now, the front cover is not identical to the actual Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare game case, but there was speculation that this was an earlier design that maybe they winded up not using. Now, the thing about this game case is that it's very hard for me to see because as you get closer, it kind of blurs out. But if we look at the back of the game case, the back does look pretty identical to the Call of Duty 4 game case. Hard to see, but you can still see that guy at the top with the ghillie suit on with the sniper. You can still see the image coming together even though it's blurred out. So maybe this was just a design that they didn't go with and they wanted to hide it in the game somewhere for somebody to find. Now, since we're already talking about Call of Duty 4, I want to go back to this mission where you're playing as the captured president on your way to get assassinated. There's a part of this mission when you're in the car, you're driving through this alley and you spot somebody spray painting on a wall. Upon driving past it, you will notice the painting was actually somebody's face. Not just any face, but this is actually somebody that works at Infinity Ward, Jason West. Funny enough, his name actually pops up a couple minutes later when they're doing all of the introduction credits. And speaking of getting assassinated, we're gonna visit Eviction from Call of Duty World at War. Now, this game is filled with so many different details, but there's one on this specific mission that I noticed on my own and I take pride in it, okay? Shortly after you exit the main building that you fight through, you can actually spot a Soviet flag being rolled out of a window, kinda like signaling we took this building and just leaving that mark there. Now we move on to MW3. I'm sure you all remember the mission where you're on vacation, you're recording your wife and your daughter, and tragically all of a sudden there is an explosion which is supposed to be a terrorist attack. Right before this happened, you can hear the mother telling Sarah, her daughter, to not go too far.
Sarah, don't go too far.
Now, if we switch over to multiplayer, there's a DLC map named Sanctuary. There's a location where you can find a few gravestones, some statues, and specifically one location where if you lay down next to the gravestone, you can hear what seems to be a memory or flashback of the incident. Now, before we go anywhere, there's one more map that I have to look at. On the multiplayer map Village, barely outside of the map, you can see what almost looks like an underground bunker. On top of it, you can see a sequence of numbers. Originally, Black Ops 1 and Mason is probably what would have popped into my head first if I found this. But these numbers are referencing the show Lost. There's a scene where John takes James into this cave and shows him that he and the following people are basically candidates to be the next guardian of the island. So the numbers are basically just representing the different people. Moving into some Black Ops 2, we're gonna visit the multiplayer map Meltdown.
Mr. Burns, people are calling this a meltdown.
This is basically a power plant, and you can find a room where there's donuts and a donuts box, basically paying homage to Homer because he does work in a power plant and he's always eating donuts. Another one that's really cool is actually a part of one of the kill streaks. If you look at the back of the Guardian, there's a sticker that says 1.21 gigawatts. That's the voltage that is required to power the DeLorean from the Back to the Future movie. Now, this is another rare case where we have a small detail that I actually noticed on my own, and I'm sure plenty of people already know about this, but during the Revelations mission, when you get up out of the seat for the first time, there's a couple parts where you're walking around in the hallway, and if you look up at the cameras, they will actually follow you. Just another way for them to give you that sense of being watched. Later on in the same mission, Mason says Oswald compromised. Oswald is the last name of Lee Harvey Oswald, the man found guilty for assassinating JFK, who is also mentioned by Mason when Mason says John Fitzgerald.
Kennedy. John Fitzgerald.
The cool thing about Black Ops is they put you in the shoes of the guy that assassinated JFK, and they tied the game together with real life. And you don't even find out until the end of the game that Mason is the one that assassinated JFK. It's very rare that games do things like that nowadays, especially a Call of Duty game. Easily one of the best campaigns of all time for Call of Duty.